Hey guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. You may have noticed that we've changed our name from The Meters to Ancestral Healing. I think it was time. I feel like Ancestral Healing truly reflects where we are right now and what we value in terms of health and optimal nutrition. The Meters kind of started off as a little joke because when we first went carnivore almost 3 years ago, and we would go to social outings to see our friends. We would always come with our meat, and they would say, "Oh, the meters are here." So it kind of started off as a joke, and then it became serious because we started our own YouTube channel, and we became very passionate about talking about the benefits of meat. But now I feel like we're at a point where we've really fine-tuned what works for us, and we have a full understanding of what it takes to truly be healthy. And to us, that is just following what our great ancestors used to do, eating real wholesome food with a primary focus on ethically raised meats, healthy animal fats and proteins. So that's why the name is Ancestral Healing. I hope you guys like it. I think it's very reflective of who Daniel and I are and where we're at in life. Today, I'm here to talk to you guys about 5 things that are not so commonly talked about on the carnivore diet. These are 5 things that I've learned along the way, and I really hold them dear to my heart. And this is kind of the message that I try to spread to the world on YouTube and when I, come in contact with people and the topic of diet, nutrition, or health comes up. Number 1 is that they lied to us. We know the secret. We've discovered the amazing powers of eating an animal-based diet. We know the healing powers. We know meat heals, but we don't really talk about how we've been lied to our whole lives. They lied to us with the nutritional guidelines and the food pyramid that they teach in school. And actually, they continue to lie and push that certain agenda to avoid meat. So I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that. I'm going to mention a couple of recommendations that, the food pyramids give us. And if you have been on your own healing journey, this will not be news to you. These recommendations, you have probably heard them before and you understand why they are a little bit misleading. And I'm also going to provide some resources below in the description. Nutrition with Judy is one of my favorite nutritionists in the animal-based space. So I'm going to provide some resources from her website, and you can do some further research yourself on there. So one of the recommendations that they make is that you should limit fats from animals, but you can eat all the canola and vegetable oil that you want. Go for it. Get that sunflower oil. So, we kind of know that's a little bit ridiculous. Vegetable oils are not good for us. We should not be consuming them at all, really. We have way better oils to use. Like you can use olive oil, you can use coconut oil, but not at high heat. And what we've been using for centuries is animal fats, beef tallow, pork lard, butter, duck fat. That's what we've been using for ages. Our ancestors used to use that. So, that's actually what they tell us not to eat. They tell us to eat the man-made processed toxic oils. They also tell us that meatless meats are better than natural meats. So kind of like the plant-based meats and things like that, that's what's recommended. But if you truly take the time to look at the ingredients on the meatless meats, they're not good for you. They're filled with vegetable oils and ingredients that you can't understand. Simply not good for you. Like, stick to the natural stuff. Another recommendation that they make for us is that you can eat these sweets, savory sweet foods, but you have to limit your meat intake, okay? So some of the foods that they recommend to eat are crackers, breadsticks, sugared pecans, gelatin desserts, popcorn, unbuttered, nuts. And if you know about nuts and, they're deemed as this healthy, like this health food, they're not. They're filled with anti-nutrients and they're heavily sprayed. They also recommend a lot of non-fat milk, chocolate, yogurt, frozen flavors other than chocolate. using low-calorie sweeteners. So yeah, guys, eat that, but don't eat meat. One of my favorite sarcastic recommendations is that they say to eat cereal often. So I have a problem with that because I used to eat a lot of cereal. I grew up on cereal, and not like the Cheerios or like the Captain Crunch, not the yummy colorful ones that all of my friends used to get. I used to eat the healthy cereal, and I was quite disturbed to find out that not even those cereals are healthy. If you look at the nutritional guidelines and what they recommend, they have a couple of standards that the foods need to pass. And technically, according to their standards, Cheerios pass. They meet all of the criteria. You should be eating Cheerios. But I think context really matters in this case. Although Cheerios have vitamins and minerals, you can see it labeled on the box, and a lot of these cereal boxes say heart healthy. Most of these vitamins, if not all, are fortified. They are synthetic vitamins that are added to the cereal, and we don't digest and absorb them properly. We don't know if our body's actually utilizing them and how it's utilizing them. They're fake. According to a study, you can also overdo it with the fortified vitamins, so you can become toxic with vitamins like A, D, E, K, B6, and B12. So I never knew that. Like, why doesn't anyone tell us this? And the crazy part about Cheerios is that they have been found to use real metal shavings for iron. So there's like metally shaved iron in your cereal and you're eating that. Does that sound correct? I don't think so. Cheerios have also been found to have glyphosate. I'm going to post a link below where you can read a study that was done. That's ridiculous. We are eating glyphosate. Like, glyphosate is no good for us, and it's sprayed on so many things. It's even in our beef gelatin or our beef collagen or protein powders that we consume. So something to be mindful of. It's not just in the junk foods, it's not just sprayed on vegetables, it's sprayed on the grass that the cows eat. Another nutritional recommendation is that processed fruits and sugar are better than most grains, meats, and dairy. So I meet a lot of people that, you know, they truly do believe they're healthy because they're eating a plant-based diet. But what they don't realize is if you're not eating organic fruits, if you're not growing it yourself and you're not there to actually like watch those plants grow and make sure no one's spraying anything on them, it's more than likely that your plants, your vegetables, your fruits are doused in chemical sprays, which are toxic and are stored in the body. So we have to really, really be careful when we say these recommendations that fruits and vegetables are healthier than meat or dairy. I mean, this is such a complex topic. We have to look at the whole picture. A couple of months ago, I was really craving some apples, and I saw Strong Sisters, who you guys know I truly admire. So they're an Instagram account called Strong Sisters, Two Sisters. So I saw that they were eating stewed apples and pears, and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna try that. So Danny and I had some stewed apples and pears, and I couldn't find anything organic. So they were from the one of the major companies. I think it's DOLE. So we had them, I stewed them, and 20 minutes after we ate those apples, we kind of got to bed, a little winding down, and guess what happened? We were itchy all night, like scratching ourselves. I had to wake up and take a cold shower, hot shower. I tried it all. That was a sleepless night. So it kind of makes you wonder, what is going on? What are our fruits sprayed with? I almost don't want to know, but all I know is that it's not good for us. I don't want to eat any chemicals. Certain countries that are abundant with fruit, you can just walk down the street and pick a mango, or, you know, pick a pineapple or pick a banana. That seems cool, right? Like you think, you know, you're picking it off the street, it's fresh, it's there for you, it's locally grown. Well, guess what? In most cases, if that country is exporting the fruit, it's probably sprayed with pesticides. Just do a quick Google search. Look at the countries that have the most usage of pesticides. You will be surprised. And share this information with your friends because I'm sure they would like to know. So those are just some of the nutritional guidelines that I've kind of looked into, but there are many and we can get into them. We could talk about them for 3 hours, but I'll leave it at that. And now I'm going to move on to point number 2. Point number two is what you eat affects your health. And to most people watching, that kind of seems like common sense. It does to me too, but I have to admit, although I have kind of tried most diets, I mean, I've tried the standard American diet, I've gone vegan, and then when I couldn't really go full vegan, I um, avoided meat, especially red meat. I avoided fatty cuts of meat, and I prioritized plants. And, I've tried it all, but I still did not really understand my why. I didn't understand like the potential of true health when you truly optimize your diet. I only understood this when I fully went carnivore. And after, a month or two or three, my health improved. And I was like, whoa, what we eat really affects how we feel. And it makes sense because if you think about it, I always use this analogy. When people are experiencing mental health issues, or they have physical body pain and they take a pill for their depression, or like a pill for their physical pain, and it's just a couple milligrams, let's say like 60 milligrams, 50, 100 milligrams. You take that pill, you swallow it, it goes into your body, and your body immediately, hopefully, reacts to it. So either the symptoms of depression go away, or your pain kind of subsides for a little bit. So just a tiny little pill has that effect. But how come we're not really, really, truly taught the magical powers of food? I mean, we eat pounds of food a day. So we eat pounds of food and we take little tiny medicine, but we don't think that the pounds of food that we ingest will actually have an effect on how we feel. So that's kind of like what was one of the biggest realizations, is that everything that you put into your body has a reaction. Your body will tell you, does it like it? Does it not? Should you continue eating it? How is it really making you feel? I think that most illnesses can be traced back to what you eat. There is a direct correlation, and whether the illness happens overnight or whether it takes a couple years and it gradually manifests into like an autoimmune disease or a skin condition, I do truly in my heart believe that it is a result of what we've been eating. Also a result of what our mother was eating, the diet of the parents while you were in the womb or preconception. So I had like so many skin issues. I had acne that came kind of out of nowhere on my jaw and on my neck and on my cheeks. I had hair loss. If you guys have watched my videos, I was balding, guys. Like I'm not even joking. Like for those that know me, like if you guys watch my videos, you can kind of even see the hair progression from my first videos. Right now, I don't know what to do with all this hair. It's growing. No more little like balding patch in the back of my scalp, like in the crown area. I also had in 2012, I started suffering from, I was in Mexico and I started to get these like skin scabs. Like I could literally like pick flakes of skin off of my scalp, and then because you're kind of like, what's going on, you keep picking them and then it bleeds. So I had like, my scalp was on fire. And I remember in 2012 while we were in Mexico, I was like, what is this? I thought maybe my scalp got sunburned, but it never left, and it would just come back gradually. I was always like thinking, is this a seasonal thing? But I never ever thought it could be food. And now I'll tell you guys this much: if I have pineapple, I get those skin flakes. If I have a little bit of too much of what my body doesn't like, I get skin flakes. And I don't eat processed food. So this is like real wholesome food. But begs the question, is it sprayed? Is it the chemicals in the fruits? Meat doesn't give me itchy scalp. Dairy, raw dairy doesn't give me itchy scalp. Coffee does. Coffee is one of the most heavily sprayed substances. So, making that connection, like obviously I started the carnivore diet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years later after the scalp thing happened. So it took 7 years of freaking scalp scabs to realize, hey girl, what are you eating? You ever consider that? So to me, it's fascinating, but it's such a powerful tool to be aware of. Such a powerful tool. It puts the control in your hands. So if you're going to eat something and you're going to suffer from it, you better, really think about if it's worth suffering for this treat, or if you want to feel good and you don't want to have joint pain, you don't want to have like hip pain, you better eat that meat, eat those healthy fats. I went in a whole bunch of Facebook groups at one point because my mom, who's fairly young, I think she's like 53, 54. Mom, if you're watching this, sorry, forgot your age, but you're young and beautiful. That's all that matters. So my mom suffers from hip pain, and I think like about a year and a half ago, she was, working her way up to get her hip replaced, which is like she's fairly young to get a hip replacement. And I went on all the Facebook groups and I asked people like, has anyone healed their hip pain, joint pain, arthritis with an all meat diet? And I got loads of responses about people having such a high success rate, getting off their pain medications, not needing hip replacements. So I'm like, Mom, you gotta try this. Like, I know you think I'm crazy. I've been doing this diet, this meat diet. You're all supportive, but trust me, just try it. Try it for 1 month. So she was very open to it, and we placed a farm order. And I kid you not, within 1 week, my mom no longer needed to take pain medication. So it was like, she wasn't really limping anymore. Unfortunately, she couldn't stick to the diet. She finds it a little bit difficult living with others in the house who are not on the same diet, and she cooks and stuff, and it's a little bit difficult when you don't have like a full team supporting you, a full team on board. But she did agree that during the time, like I think she did 2-3 weeks of a carnivore diet, it was very good for her pain. It relieved a lot of the pain. And I do truly think that if she stuck with it, she would have had great success rates. Had to put the hair up. So number 3, the time that you eat is very important. This is something that I literally learned like maybe half a year ago. So I've been animal based for almost 3 years, but I've learned a lot of things along the way, and I haven't felt optimal the entire time. So I've, kept doing my research, learning from people like the Strong Sisters. Instagram has been a wealth of information, and I'm going to put some accounts below that I continue to learn from. But one thing that I learned is that the time you eat is very important. We all have different schedules, but we are all human. Just as animals and the ocean and plants, they're synced with the sun and the moon, so are we. Guys, we're magical creatures. Let's not dumb ourselves down here. We are so out of sync with nature. We work night shift. We're stuck in a cubicle from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. If you live in Canada, sometimes when you go to work and enter your office, it's dark. And by the time you get out, it's dark too. You have had no sunlight in your eyes or on your skin. We are working completely against nature, and then we wonder why we're sick. And I truly believe that if you start a carnivore diet or an animal-based diet, there are other things that you could do to make it all piece together to achieve true optimal health. I think that just because you eat meat, it's not enough. I used to eat so much meat, not really listening to my hunger cues, just kind of overeating really. And I am glad I went through that, because now it brought me to where I am now, where I have a level of awareness of like when I'm hungry and when I'm not, and just stop eating, you're full. But I used to eat really late at night during the beginning of this whole, global thing that's been going on. You're stuck inside, and what do? You feast. You make a freaking pork roast and you eat it at 11 p.m. And then you wake up so groggy at like 10, 11 p.m. You have a difficult time waking up, and that was me. And I didn't make the connection until I really learned how important it is to sync our schedules, our like what we do during the day, when you go out in the sun, when get exercise, what time you eat. Sync that with your circadian rhythm. It's called the circadian cycle. I'm going to post a link below so you guys can look into it. I think that if we follow that, we will be much, much healthier. So for example, like what I've been trying to do, and it's been very successful, is I usually wake up in the morning around like pretty early. And then what I do is I may not eat right away, but I always eat in the sun. I'll have my meal outside. If it's a cloudy day, I'll still have it outside. Just kind of like being out there receiving like all the beautiful light from the sun is super beneficial in your eyes in the morning and during sunset. So if you guys can get that, if you have access to that wherever you are in the world, I highly encourage you to eat your meals outside and don't eat too late. Give yourself at least 4 to 5 hours before going to sleep. So eat your meal 4 to 5 hours before going to sleep, and that will give your body the time to digest the food. It's not up all night working, and I'm telling you, it will make the world of a difference how you feel the next day. So, major takeaway, be more in sync with nature. Walk outside barefoot if you can. Look into the sun in the morning. That early, the first 2 hours after sunrise are crucial. It regulates your sleep more. You're able to, I think I read somewhere, correct me if I'm wrong, that you're able to like synthesize vitamin D more. It's just wonderful things that can happen when you're in sync with nature. So the more you steer away from nature, you're going to find that you could potentially have more health problems. Sync yourself with nature. We are creatures after all. The fourth point that I've learned on the carnivore diet that I'd like to talk about a little bit is if you cannot afford grass-fed, grass-finished meat, should you not go on an animal-based diet? My answer is if you can't afford it, I think conventional will do. I think it's not fair to say that you should only eat grass-fed, grass-finished because everybody has different budgets and different means that they can afford. Especially if you have a family to eat, like if there's 4 or 5 of you, it's gonna get pretty pricey to only buy grass-fed, grass-finished meat. I think like my biggest recommendation is if you are interested in going carnivore, doing like an elimination diet, which I think carnivore is the best elimination diet, or if you're just interested in adding more meat into your diet, which is also fantastic, you don't have to go only for grass-fed, grass-finished meat. What I would recommend is if you're looking to buy the organ meats, which are the most nutrient dense meats, so you've got liver, kidney, heart, tongue, those are very nutrient dense. That means that your body is absorbing all the nutrients, it's super bioavailable, and they've got the highest nutrient density. So you're getting all those nutrients. You don't have to worry about any anti-nutrients coming in the way. So my recommendation is if you can afford to buy grass-fed, grass-finished organ meats, do that. Usually, depending on where you're from, they are cheaper than the other cuts of meat. And then another recommendation that I have is if you're interested in getting like a more fatty cut of meat, try to go for grass-fed, grass-finished if you can, because animals store their toxins in their fat. So if you're eating conventional meat and you're buying like super fatty cuts, you may be eating the toxins of that animal. Maybe, you know, they're injected with antibiotics, hormones, etc. So if it's not possible, stick to the conventional meat and just shop around. Don't if you find something, don't just think this is it. Continue asking. Talk to your local farmers. Talk to them about the importance of this diet and why you're doing it. And maybe they can help you out. I know a lot of farmers give away their scraps of fat, give away chicken skin for free, give away salmon skin for free. So just have these conversations and you never know what you can make happen. If you're doing a carnivore elimination diet to heal any illnesses, any autoimmune illnesses, yes, I do recommend consuming the highest quality meat that you can. But if you can't afford that, then I would suggest eat what you can afford. Start where you can. Don't avoid eating meat just because you can't eat it from a grass-fed, grass-finished source. My fifth and final point that I don't think is discussed often and that I want to really highlight is it is not that difficult. The message that I want to convey is eat real food. There's this notion that we have to be so polarized. You're either paleo, vegan, vegetarian, carnivore, keto. And the thing is, like, we may not have all the answers. I may be completely wrong, but just I think that it's better to find a common ground that we all can share instead of pitting ourselves against each other. So my common ground that I always love to connect with people, because I love to connect with people on things that we have in common instead of things that we do not share in common, is that the best food for the human body is real food, food that has been around for ages, and that is animal meat and locally grown vegetables and fruit. You can't go wrong there. I think that if you're eating fruits that, come from the earth, that are not made in a lab, you'll be way better off than if you're, eating processed food, the standard American diet. And then, you can kind of gauge how you're feeling and eliminate some things and kind of trial and error and see how you feel. I think that's why the carnivore diet is a great elimination diet, because once you've kind of gone at it for a couple of months, like I did, I think 2 years before I introduced anything, and now it's so easy for me to pick up on what is really serving my health and what is taking away from my health when I reintroduce something. It's a great tool. Do I think that you have to be carnivore for life? Not necessarily. I think that depends on everyone. I also think that I don't know it all. I don't know enough. I'm not I didn't study nutrition. I'm not specialized in this field. I'm just kind of speaking from my own experience and my own research that I can do with my, understanding of how these things work. But regardless, eat real food and let's try to find some common ground with people. I love to talk to people that, are kind of shocked, like, what? You only eat squash and avocado? Like, what about all the other vegetables? Like, you only eat meat? I love to kind of like divert from that and focus on the things that we agree upon and kind of educate on the vegetable oils and how butter was removed, animal fats were removed from all of the cooking books in the shelves back in the day, like back in the 1940s, and kind of like start there and then see what we can agree upon. And then I find that it's more of like an even playing field and there's no judgment from both sides. So that's my little spiel. I hope you guys have a great week ahead. I'm going to do the live Q&A on Saturday at 10 a.m. I believe Saturday was the winning date on the poll that I took. So I'm really excited. I want to know what you guys think of the name change. And, just I admire you guys so much, like the stories, the healing journeys that you guys share in the comments. They're so powerful. My mom's always reading the comments and she's blown away. So I think that you guys are, we're just inspiring people. That's what we're here to do. We're here to shed the light and we're here to really take it back to our ancestral roots. So wish you guys a lovely week ahead. Watch these other 2 videos and continue to show me the love. I appreciate it so much. I'm almost at 13,000 subscribers. It's kind of going by really fast. So I'm so grateful. Thanks, guys. Have a great week.